Thanks for joining me again for another Pixie Talks review vlog.
Pixie Talks, reviews and vlogs at Pixie Talks. Pixie Talks, reviews and vlogs at Pixie Talks.
Woo! More Hiddleston! 2 in a row? This week we have a breathtaking indie film to talk about. Based on the novel by J.G. Ballard, it's a dystopic exploration of social structure and class hierarchy. As haunting as it is surreal, this is High Rise. Super stoked for this movie for a while now, let me tell you. The book is a fascinating piece of work about the descent of the people within the high rise into anarchy and madness. J.G. Ballard was an English sci-fi novelist, and his work often focused on dystopias and the human psyche. High Rise is no exception. High Rise follows Dr. Lang, a man who moves into a new, modern luxury apartment complex so large and so self-contained that it is practically a city in and of itself. It contains its own supermarket, pool, and gym facilities, as well as schools for the children. As it is so self-contained, it quickly develops a hierarchical class structure within itself, with the poorer lower classes occupying the lower floors, all the way to the rich upper classes at the top. After a series of power failures, however, the tensions between the floors are unleashed, the building's occupants descending into madness, and life within the high-rise turning to all-out anarchistic warfare where every man is for himself. This is, in a lot of ways, a fairly disturbing story, both in the book as well as the film. It very much explores the more animalistic, instinctual desires of the human psyche, from flashes of violence to sex, drugs, and scrapping over food supplies. The people within the high-rise gradually deteriorate mentally until life is one big free-for-all of violent, hedonistic chaos. It's a cautionary tale about class tension, overindulgence, and a reliance on technology. Now, the movie stays fairly close to the book for much of its bulk. There are changes made, a character or two taken out, and some new ones put in, but in general it follows the events of the book pretty closely. And it keeps the strange, surreal, and off-kilter tonal quality of the book fairly well. The whole thing just feels strange from day one when Lang first arrives at the high-rise. Everything feels just a little off, from the weird drunken parties to the barren emptiness of his apartment. The book does a phenomenal job of building up that tension until everything snaps and goes to hell in a handbasket, and the movie does a pretty excellent job of mirroring that tension. Now, the movie does speed things along a lot. In the book, that slow progression is a little more drawn out, but in the movie, we watch as things descend into chaos with much more rapid a pace. The lingering seeds of class tensions are planted briefly before they come to full fruition and all hell breaks loose. In many ways, the movie feels almost more disturbing than the book, because in the book, the mental state of the characters is more explicitly explored, and it's clear that the violence is a result of their mental deterioration. Whereas the movie's violence comes off as much more meditated, as its characters are a little more mentally cognizant by the time the violence starts breaking out. I will warn you, this is a fairly disturbing film. There is a lot of violence, and it is not for the faint of heart. Luke Evans shines playing the ambitious Wilder, who tries to fight his way through the levels up to the top of the high-rise. He is an instigator for a lot of the violence in the film and plays the part with haunting perfection. Hiddleston's portrayal of Lang, meanwhile, is an equally brilliant piece of work. Lang is, in contrast to Wilder's character, much more content with just carving out his own little niche, with absolutely no ambitions to rise to the top. The two characters are pretty extreme opposites, and the parallels between them work beautifully. Now, one thing I do wish the movie had explored a little more was the book's depiction of the women in the high-rise. As the violence begins to take root and the people start to gravitate to small clans and family groups, the women experience the brunt of the abuse and the violence. Even at the top, with the rich, the women are being used as servants for the menfolk. But the tables are quickly turned as the women begin to band together and turn on the men, forming their own clan, and ultimately it is the women who end up ruling the high-rise. They become the driving power within the newly emerging social structures, and while this is shown in the movie, it is not quite so obvious as to the power shift as it is in the book. Altogether, this is a hauntingly strange movie. It is surrealism and social commentary at its finest, and the performances just blew me away. Props to the actors who brought this disturbing tale to life, not to mention the visceral nature of the imagery. Amidst all the violence inherent to the nature of the film, probably the most gruesome imageries was just the way that the high-rise slowly starts to fill with garbage and refuse. The people just stepping over the wreckage on their way to their jobs, just going about their days as though nothing strange is happening. It is an absolutely beautifully crafted film if you can stomach it. Perfectly breathtaking. My review on High Rise. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please do be sure to subscribe for more. You can always add me on Facebook and Twitter for all of my other updates and projects. And with that, I'll see you next time. Bye!